What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Babbles Nonsense podcast. You get to hear me fly solo today, babbling on about everything from movie reviews to waxing services, the hurricane, book reviews, all of it. All the things, all randomness today. So, if you want to hear what I've been up to, get a little bit of updates on some things going on in my life, then today's episode is for you. Another episode. It is so weird to go from like interviewing people for a while to flying back solo and just trying to keep everything organized in my brain. But I have been trying to do a little bit better about writing down things that I want to talk about. Either way, it's going to be all over the place. Today, it's just going to be kind of a bunch of things jumbled into one since it's been a while since I have done a solo episode. But with that being said, I have a little bit of a funny story. Not as funny as the iPhone one where y'all definitely reached out to me and let me know how hilarious that was that I dropped my iPhone out the window. Yes, I got my replacement phone, so that has been resolved. But I typically, as a female, I don't know about the females listening to this or if men who have significant others listen to this and can relate, but I needed windshield wiper blades about a month ago. I think it was about a month ago now, because I was driving to Tennessee and it had been raining for like 2 weeks straight. It was before Hurricane Helen came. It was it was still hurricane season or whatever. So we were getting some rains from it. And I was just like, I really need some windshield wiper blades because it's doing that crazy sound when it isn't really cleaning the water off, but it makes that annoying sound. If you know what I'm talking about, But so I obviously consulted with my stepdad because I was like, hey, what kind of windshield wiper blades do I need? I typically just get windshield wipers if I need them when I do an oil change, but it was going to be a little bit before my next oil change. So he was like, oh, just get these or whatever. I was like, cool. So I have an AutoZone close to my house, and that's the way I go to Tennessee. So I was just like, why don't I go ahead and get these online so that way I can just stop, put them on, and leave, and then I'm not having to search for them in the store, yada, yada. Well, I purchased one windshield wiper blade because I thought they come in a pack. I just assumed two would come in a pack because you need two windshield wiper blades on your car. But no, they come one to a pack. So when I got there, thankfully they weren't out of stock or anything, but I was just like, when he got my online order or whatever, I was like, oh, there's only one here. He was like, yes, ma'am, you have to purchase two. And I was like, oh, that would have been helpful maybe if I read the description of things, but sure. Can you get me the matching one that I can use for my car? And he was very helpful. Maybe he just thought I was crazy and dumb and been like, okay, who didn't know that you needed two windshield wiper blades? Me, I didn't know. But he was very nice and he helped me put them on my car. So kind of a funny story, not as funny as the iPhone one, but now I know you have to buy two windshield wiper blades and not just one because they don't just come in a pack. Maybe some do. I don't know. Maybe the ones I got just don't. I don't know. Who could be too sure? Anyways, moving on to some girly pop things that I have recently discovered and way behind the train on. So I've been watching on TikTok and Instagram about pimple patches. And I've never really gotten them. I've seen girls wear them. I've seen girls talk about them being like the holy grail and that you should get them. But I never really, I don't know, I just wasn't that intrigued, I guess. But then a few weeks ago, I had gotten a breakout on my face because I had dermaplaned, and I was just like, oh wow, these pimples are kind of bad, so let's see what these pimple patches are all about. I just happened to be in Target. I was walking by the beauty aisle and I was like, what's it gonna hurt? It's $10. Let's see. So I was wearing them at night because they say to wear them 6 to 8 hours, maybe longer. I don't know, don't listen to me. And I was just like, okay. So I wore them at night And like each night I woke up and took the pimple patch off, I was like, oh wow, like the pimple is smaller. And then it went away in like 3 to 4 days. And I was like, okay, wow, this is literal magic. Where has this been all my life? And why didn't I try this sooner? So yeah, never gonna go without pimple patches again, which kind of sucks for the guys because it makes me think about, when I'm just talking about pimple patches in general, it makes me think about like nighttime beauty routines that some women have, not all, but some of us who are trying to stay looking young, as natural as possible, we do these things at night, like face care and pimple patches and zit cream and all these things, so we look kind of crazy, right? But so me being single, like I was just thinking like, gosh, like I've been single for so long and living on my own for so long that I just kind of get stuck in my own routine. Like what would happen if I started dating someone and they had to like, would I change my nighttime routine? I don't know, because I've also recently got into face taping. So if you don't know what face taping is, I'm not the best one to kind of explain it or know the science behind it. But I started following the Natural Face Bible on Instagram, and she just kind of talks about how to age gracefully and naturally and do like yoga for your face, move the muscles, but also face taping to help with deep wrinkles, maybe static wrinkles, or to prevent wrinkles so that you don't have to get Botox and fillers. So I was just looking for a more natural approach to aging, and I was just like interested. So I bought some face tape from her store, online store or whatever, and it lasts a really long time actually, and it's not expensive. But I started face taping like my smile lines because I'm a side sleeper and they just are getting deeper, and I was like, I really don't want to get filler there because y'all all know my experience with filler with my under eyes, which I am going to update a little bit on that here in a second. But so I've been taping my smile lines, and then I have this one really deep line that kind of runs underneath my chin, I guess from where I laugh or look down at my cell phone, like, you know, tech neck and everything. So I've been taping those. And then I also, with that being said, use mouth tape at night. And I don't know if I've talked about mouth tape on this podcast before, but for me, I'm not giving anyone medical advice because y'all all need to consult your doctor before you do any of this stuff because everyone has different medical history and whatnot. But for me, I have been mouth taping for several months now, probably, 6 to 10 months. I initially started doing it because I have TMJ really bad and I grind my teeth, and I was listening to a podcast on the Skinny Confidential where she was talking about mouth taping and like the science behind it, and she talks more about the aesthetic side, like how it can sharpen your jawline, but then she goes into like how it can make you feel more energized throughout the day because you're actually sleeping more soundly at night because you're breathing through your nose, which, again, not into the science part of it, just thought it was cool. And it actually, like, I do feel better doing it. So not only do I have my pimple patches on, I have my face tape, then I have my mouth tape. And then I recently started using silicone under eye masks to sleep in because it has been helping significantly with that under eye swelling that I was having pre and post under eye surgery from the filler. So I look hella crazy at night going to bed with all this on my face, but my friends who are my closest friends, and I send them Snapchats all the time, I'm like, what women do for beauty. Maybe y'all don't do that. I do. It's something I enjoy. But I'll give a little update on my under eyes. I had my 3-month post-op appointment with Dr. Yates where he did the correction to the left eye to see if anything else needed to be done, and everything so far is looking really good. It's tight on the left side. There's still a little bit of puffiness and swelling, which again, if I use the silicone eye mask at night, that pretty much resolves that. And I think the silicone eye mask, I think the point of the silicone taping and masking is to kind of help hydrate your skin and keep hydration there so that it's just not super dry when you wake up in the morning. Again, don't know the science behind that. You would think I would do a little bit of research, but I just wanted to sit down and just kind of update everybody on what I've been doing and what I'm up to. So other than that, I know we recently had a podcast with me and you, and we talked about saging. So I officially saged the house. I believe it was 2 or 3 weeks ago now. And the one thing I was not counting on, because if y'all want to listen to that episode, it's about 3 to 4 episodes back where we talk about saging, and she goes through the proper steps of saging the house, which I've never done before, because y'all know I'm going through some house drama that I haven't talked about yet, but that is coming soon, I promise. So with the house, I know I'm kind of, again, all over the place, but with the house, the reason why I'm not kind of diving into the whole story because it's not completely finished yet. So I don't want to start a story about the house and not have like the conclusion on what's going to happen or how it was fixed and stuff like that. So once that happens, once the final plan or final conclusion does happen, or what we find happens, then I'm going to sit down and just do a whole episode. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do an actual visual episode, which will be uploaded on my YouTube channel for the podcast, and then obviously having audio for other places. And the reason why I want to do a visual one is because I want to be able to insert photos and like emails and stuff like that to like show exactly what happened, but not be going off grid or anything like that. Just giving the exact facts and just timeline of it all. So going back to saging. So I was saging the house like me and you and I had talked about doing, just because of all the bad juju. I'm like, I just need a break with this house. And so did the sage, like she said, had the sage touching all the corners of the room. The one thing I was anticipating more is I thought it would be a little bit more smoky, the sage, but it was not. So I had to keep lighting it. And then I did the Palo Santo, and then, I saged myself, and it wasn't that smoky. It just smelled like sage. And when I left, because I was going to a child's birthday party, I was like, no, I actually went to church and then I went to a child's birthday party. But when I got to church, I was like, why do I smell campfire? I was like, why do I smell campfire everywhere? And then I realized, I was like, oh, it's my hair. Literally, my hair smells like campfire. Like, if like you go to a club or around someone in their house, if they smoke in their house, because my parents smoke in their house, like you smell like your hair smells like smoke. So I guess my hair just absorbs smoke very easily, but it absorbed it from the sage. And I was just like, I would rather it just smell like sage instead of smoke, because now I got to wash it again. And y'all know, I don't know about y'all girls, but I do not like to wash my hair, but maybe once or twice a week. Once at minimum, 2 at maximum. That's what I like. And I had just washed my hair, so I was like, no. Which brings me to my next point. We had book club recently, which was this past weekend, and we were doing like a bonfire, and I had just washed my hair before I went, not thinking, because she even mentioned we would probably have a little bonfire and talk about the book that we were reading. And I washed my hair before I went, and I was like, I'm not sitting by that. I'm not washing my hair again. So she gave me a shower cap, and I wore a shower cap, and everything was good. But I wanted to talk about that book a little bit. We read, it's called The One. It's a show on Netflix, which I read the book, or I guess I listened to the book because I'm trying to get into more audio books, just because I don't have time to sit down and read like I would like. But it's called The One. It's a hit show on Netflix. And I will say, so I listened to the book in full. It's a pretty easy listen, pretty easy read, I would assume too. And then I tried to go and watch the show on Netflix, and it is completely different. Like, I think I watched 10 minutes of the Netflix show and I had to turn it off because I was just like, this isn't even in the same format. Like, it's completely different. And I don't want to give too much away, but essentially it's about dating, and it's about if in the future, like, they find a DNA that, how do I explain this? So like, we all take a test. It would be like if you took a test and then your DNA is matched with one person in the world. Like, you all have just one match, and that could be anyone. It could be same sex. It could be opposite sex. It could be someone young, someone old. It could be anyone. It could be someone that lives in your town or someone across the world. But everyone had to take the test to be matched, but they don't make you or force you to take the test, if that makes sense. So these people were matched, and it follows the story of like 5 people, I think 5 or 6 people. And it just kind of talks about their story, but I can't really talk about it in detail or to be giving too much away. So I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but it actually is a good book. So highly recommend that one. What else? Oh, speaking of books and movies, was it last weekend? No, the weekend before that, I went and watched Beetlejuice, the new Beetlejuice movie. And I'm sorry for those who are going to hate me for saying this. I didn't love it. Like, it was just okay. Like, it would have been one of those movies that I would have been okay with waiting to watch at home instead of paying money to go to the movies. Because, like, when we go to the movies, it's like usually like a really good movie. But it was not as, I guess the first one was just so good. I mean, the second one it wasn't that it was bad. It was just like very campy, very like corny in a way. Like, I was just like, okay, is this, because I don't remember the first one being like that, but maybe it was. So I was just like, I was just expecting more, I guess, just because it was so hyped up and whatnot. And again, don't get me wrong, it was good. It just wasn't what I thought it would be. So maybe I just built it up in my head a little bit more than maybe it was. But just kind of moving on and speaking about shows and stuff that I'm watching currently, just in case anyone's needing something to watch, because when, the fall comes, sometimes we have a lot, sometimes we don't. But I have watched A Nobody Wants This with Kristen Bell on Netflix. Super cute. The Lincoln Lawyer is really good. They just came out with their 3rd season. I hate the way they end it though, because I'm like, now I gotta wait a whole year to watch this again. So if you haven't watched The Lincoln Lawyer, definitely recommend that one. Season 6 of, is it season 6? Maybe season 7. I can't remember. Of Love is Blind, whatever the new season is of Love is Blind. That one is crazy this time. It's not as dramatic as last season, I don't feel like, but there is some drama, and it left me on a cliffhanger, which I cannot see until this Wednesday. So I'll give my full review on that like I did last year once it's over, because I think the reunion is on October 30th. Also watched the new season of Outer Banks and Tell Me Lies. All good shows. Now I'm looking for something new. If y'all know of anything new, hit me up, send me an email, send me a DM, tell me what you're watching. But other than that, that's kind of what's been going on. Oh, one last thing. So we all know we've talked about Brazilian waxes on here. We've talked about waxing with a bunch of different companies. So I recently was like, you know what? I think I want to wax my legs and I want to wax my underarms, because why not? I'm tired of shaving them. I don't know about you girls, when you, in the wintertime, especially like after you shave your legs and you go outside, it's just like you didn't even shave your legs. So I was like, is this going to hurt like a Brazilian? Because Brazilians hurt, obviously. The underarm, I mean, they do, obviously any waxing is going to be a little bit painful, but it's nowhere near the Brazilian. It's a different type of pain. So like the underarms are quick, they're super easy. And then now that I've been doing the underarms for a couple of months now, like I don't even know when the hair has grown out until I'll look in the mirror, like I'll be at the gym or something. I'm like, oh crap, I need to go get my underarms waxed, because there is that spikiness is gone. And so the hair becomes finer, you get less of it. So it's almost just like you forget. And then I'll be like looking one day, I'm like, oh wow, I really need to go wax my underarms. And then I just did one lower leg wax, and that was pretty spicy. It feels different than the underarms or the Brazilian in the fact like you're like, oh, painful. Okay. But this is more like of a stinging sensation, almost like something stung you, like a bug or something. And it does take a little bit longer, because obviously there's more surface area, but I've only done it one time. So the hair is still a little spiky on the legs, because she says it takes about 3 to 4 cycles with your legs, just because how much we've been shaving them over time. But eventually all the hair kind of cycles out, just like the Brazilian and the underarm. So I'm trying to be patient with that. The legs are probably the hardest, because like just growing out spiky leg hairs is just not fun. But after even just one wax, like they're already still not growing back, other than what was still left over. Cause like there was like the hair has to be so long for the wax to obviously be able to take it. So on the first wax, like all the hair wasn't long. I still had like little hairs that are growing out for this cycle. I know that kind of sounds grody, but girls, you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever done a Brazilian and you've been interested in other waxing, highly recommend the underarms and the lower legs. Just because it just makes, everything less, like you don't have to shave as much. It's not as spiky. You're not having to worry about like the cold weather and all that. But anyways, that is what I've been up to. I know that was all over the place, but it has been a few weeks since I have done a solo. I'm hoping to get my friend Tracy on here. We have been trying to nail down a date to talk about like parenting children with ADD or ADHD and how to recognize that. And then, of course, I mentioned on my Instagram the other day, my cousin Hannah, who won Mrs. America, finally got the green light to be interviewed for the podcast. So we're probably going to sit down and do that when I go up for Thanksgiving, because she lives in Nashville. So probably do that around that time. It's just probably going to be easier with her being off work, me being off work, and then just having, an hour or two to sit down and be able to talk to each other. So those are the updates. I hope everyone is having a good start to their fall. The weather is finally getting nice and cool. Love that for us, because summer was vicious this year. But anyways, until next time, guys. Bye.